So, if you didn't know, EA just had their investor conference recently, EA, where they announced an array of stuff and they talked about a bit of shit, and, but I'm not really concerned about a lot of that. Or not concerned, but excited. None of it really got me excited until I found out they're doing a new Battlefield game. And, personally, I'm a big Battlefield fan. I love Battlefield. I've loved it for a long time. I played 3 when it dropped. I was like 5. Don't judge. But yeah, so going into the actual, about it. Battlefield will return with a modern setting for its next game. First concept art below. This is the first concept art if you didn't know. Modern setting. We haven't gotten a modern setting Battlefield game. If you play Battlefield, you already know this, but we haven't gotten one since like Battlefield 4, I think. Personally, I loved the World War ones. I loved Battlefield 1 and Battlefield V. Not Battlefield V. The story for that was arse, but the multiplayer was exceptional. But Battlefield 1 is one of my favorite Battlefield games of all time. Actually, one of my favorite shooters of all time. I love the game. And then you got Battlefield 2042, which isn't set during, the World War 1 and 2s, but is in the future. It's nice to see a modern day Battlefield game again, because it's been a long time. I think we're nearing 10 years since the launch of Battlefield 4, which I'll just bring up on screen when I edit this. And then moving on, we've got a little bit more information about it, and I just want to excuse something. If I don't read something on here properly, it's because I'm just really fucking autistic. I can't read very well. So I just wanted to say that. I'm probably going to butcher some of the stuff here, but that's not important. So, the next Battlefield game, more details. Vince Zeppelin says he and EA are all in on Battlefield. 4 development studios are working on this game, taking more time for longer development cycles, which is obviously good. I guess the only concern that I have with 4 separate development studios is they're all a part of EA, but the problem I have with this is only one thing, and it's, there may be a communication problem. Because we see this when games usually get done through multiple studios, where the studios don't have their communication sometimes isn't the best, but maybe that's just a stupid concern. Maybe I'm just wrong on that one, but that's something I did want to bring up. They set for more tenets of Battlefield as all-out warfare, epic scale, massive, and highly intense action, which Battlefield just sounds awesome. The game has been. The team wants to lean into those core tenets. Game has been play tested internally every day over the past year, as well as times with the community, which is awesome. I didn't even know the community. That's never even heard of it. To have something like this not leak in the slightest is very impressive, because clearly they kept it really under wraps, which is very impressive. DICE is in charge of multiplayer. Motive is in charge of the single-player campaign, which, I want to say, DICE has always done good multiplayer. I think it's good that they're splitting all of these in between studios, Motive. These guys did the Dead Space remake, which released 2-ish years ago, and I played it, and it was fantastic. I love that game. Obviously it's a remake, but they did a good job. That's all you need to know. And obviously DICE worked on Battlefield V, and they worked on Battlefield 2042, which multiplayer was okay. They were good, but they weren't really the greatest, But yeah, anyway, Motive in charge of single player, which is a huge W, or the campaign, which confirms that there will be a campaign, which is awesome, and I hope it's not a bad campaign. I hope it's good. But if Motive's in charge, it'll be good. Is driving content across SP and multiplayer, so single player, multiplayer. So this studio, I'm not going to try to read that, is pretty much doing the content. So Motive, DICE are just doing this campaign, and then they're doing the content across the single player and multiplayer, which is good, obviously. And then Ripple Effect, never heard of them before, is working on a new Battlefield experience fueled by the unique Battlefield of DNA testing really well with players. It seems like Ripple is just going to be working on new shit. you know, which is interesting. Moving on to this part, and then this is the same thing. This is a bit more of a simpler. There's less stuff. It's just Jeff. The next Battlefield game will be built by 4 studios at EA. DICE for multiplayer, for single player and multiplayer. Motive for single player. Obviously, this means like content, and then Ripple Effect for a new experience. Which I don't know what they mean by new experience, but I'm assuming they mean innovating on top of what's happening. Sorry, give me a minute. I just need to take a sip of my nice cold water. Yes, I did leave that in. Okay. And now we go to the concerns. My biggest concern, or my 3 big concerns. Concern 1, we haven't, this may be like a bad argument, but we haven't seen a good Battlefield game since 1. So we've had 2 really bad Battlefield games, DICE being, I believe, the lead developer, which I don't know how I feel, especially with DICE being, again, on the project. I don't doubt Motive will do a really good single player, but I don't know how they're going to do, especially with how badly 2042 launched. That launched horrendously. Second concern, 4 studios is a good idea and a bad idea. DICE clearly can't make single players anymore. They just can't. I don't know if they even developed the original stories for the single players for Battlefield 1, 3, and 4 and all that stuff. 4 was exceptional, but it had an okay multiplayer. Single player, But I think splitting it between 4 developers is a good idea and a bad idea. That might make no sense, but I feel like there may be they may not be able to communicate properly if it's split between 4 developers. But it's also good that DICE isn't doing a single player, because DICE clearly can't do single players anymore, but they can make a pretty good multiplayer. So I just, yeah. But yeah, that was mainly just my big concern. One of my big concerns, just we haven't gotten a good Battlefield game recently. But that's kind of it's a bad argument. I understand that, but whatever. Third concern, EA. That's it. It's just EA. Don't get me wrong, EA's released some good games over the years, like Jedi Survivor, but they haven't really been amazing, And then with Dragon Age, the new one coming out and looking not very good in my opinion. That's just based off gameplay. I'm not talking about DEI or anything like that. That's not in the conversation right now. Just looking strictly based off of the gameplay itself. Personally, I don't have very much confidence in the game. I don't think it'll do very well. But hey, maybe that's just me. I don't know. And then my main concern, which isn't a bad thing, is something they also talked about, which you probably saw up here. Not that. That. I want to make this clear. I'm not against AI, even in the slightest. I think AI is good to developing games to a certain extent. But this is what scares me. At EA's investor presentation, CEO Andrew Wilson says that generative AI is the very core of our business. Here's the thing. This is what worries me about this. AI isn't the core of their business because it's, good for their business. AI is the core of their business because it'll save them money. It's not in there for the intention of the gamer, and it's not in there of the intention of their workers. It is bad, Again, I'm not against AI. I think AI can be used to a certain extent in video games, but the thing that scares me about a lot of these companies and doing their AI thing with games and stuff is one thing, and it's overuse of AI. In a world where game budgets are so expensive, being $200-300 million, and actually going over here, this is Concord apparently cost $400 million, which, yeah, I wanted to bring that up. I don't know why I had it all the way over here, but, that's not important. In this world where game budgets are so high, it doesn't shock me that these big publishers want to start going into using AI, because they will use it as a way to shortcut how much money they're spending and shortcut developers. And then when AI starts to get more advanced, you're going to start seeing people get fired. You know, like I wouldn't be shocked if they just decide to fire the entire fucking art direction, the entire art team. You know, I mean, when AI art gets way more advanced, you know, it's already extremely advanced, you know, but again, AI to help you a little in game development is okay, but I believe these companies, as soon as they get, you know, generally good AI to use on their games, they're just going to overuse them. You know, so instead of just going for smaller budget games like Ghost of Tsushima, you know, and then them blowing up and selling 10 plus million copies, they've just decided to go down the easier route and just use AI and cut jobs. It's easier for them. It's cheaper, you know, instead of just making good games on a cheaper budget, because it's doable. It's clearly doable. You know, like Hollow Knight was, what was it? It was like a $500,000 budget. Like Hollow Knight was made on nothing, you know, and that was like, that's an incredible game, you know. But anyway, yeah, that's mainly just my main concern is they might overuse AI, but that's just me. Those are my concerns. I don't really have too many concerns about it. In this day and age, EA isn't really the prospect of bad games. That more of goes to, well, Ubisoft. And I do want to say one thing about Ubisoft. I believe if Assassin's Creed Shadows flops, I think that might actually be the end of Ubisoft. And I think a company will literally just take over Ubisoft. They're either going to acquire them, or they're going to do a hostile takeover, which is just you buy a bunch of shares in the company until you own a majority share, you know. I think I'll just bring up the Wikipedia definition of it or whatever the fuck, you know. But yeah, that's moving on from my concerns. This one you all saw just before when I accidentally brought it up like a moron. Is EA will be getting a large-scale community testing program for the next Battlefield game in early 2025, which, again, I'm just really excited for. I'm 100% going to be there. If I can make videos on it, I will, because Battlefield is one of my... Again, I've played Call of Duty for a very, very long time. I've been playing Call of Duty since 3. That might sound stupid, but it's 100% true. I've been playing Call of Duty for a long time. I've been playing Battlefield for a long time, and in this day and age, even though Battlefield hasn't been able to release a really amazing Battlefield game since 1, Battlefield is still a better game franchise than what Call of Duty is, I believe, at this point. You know, Battlefield is incredible, and I hope EA does not fumble this. So now, that's Battlefield. That's that out of the way. That's Battlefield. If you want to click off, because this is specifically about Battlefield, that's fine. But I want to talk about another thing, which has something to do with remasters. Sony and remasters. So, I just need to add something. The reason why it ends really abruptly is because this was originally going to be a video about two things, which was going to be PlayStation and their constant remastering of games that don't need to be remastered, and Battlefield, which you just watched. I ended up just scrapping the other half, and I'm probably just going to add it into its own video because it was just getting a little too long. I just want to add that so I could say, well, that's the reason why it just ends really abruptly. So yeah, all good. Bye.